Hello, hello. I'm hopping on about a minute early because I want to get us going. And I'm going to have to invite Allie onto this. So, I hope she's ready. We're starting our mom survival series tonight, and I'm really excited. And that the light is really annoying in the background. So I think I'm going to pivot a little bit. Oh, there you are. Awesome. I'm going to invite you. I think you can accept it whenever you're ready. Ah, there you are.
Oh, am I creeping?
Sideways. You are.
Okay, hold on. You have it the other way. Let me try this. Hold on.
That's
Is that better?
That's better.
Hi.
Yay. I knew we could figure it out.
You would think it would be easier than it is, but I always joke around that I'm the oldest 32-year-old that ever lived because I'm like a grandma when it comes to technology.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Your bangs are cute. Are they new?
Kinda, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
just
for
embracing the mom hair.
I love it. Thank you for hopping on with me and for being willing to open up about your story and your life, your business, and all of that. I'm really excited to have you on because most people probably don't know, but we went to high school together a long time ago. Didn't really keep in touch over the years, but found each other on social media, and it was fun to reconnect because we both have a little boy and a little girl. Similar in age. I think yours are a little bit younger than mine.
Yeah, but aren't yours like, how many years apart are yours?
2 years and 4 months. How far?
Yeah, mine are 2 years, 3 months.
See, I know. We reconnected on so many levels. And just getting to know you and your heart and your honesty and openness. And when I was going through a hard time and sharing some things, and you would affirm me and basically be like, you're not alone type thing. It was really cool and meant a lot to me. So I figured, why not bring you on here and share, because I think you're amazing. So.
Aw. Well, I think you are. So thank you. I'm honored that you would ask.
All right, let's get started. So we've already talked that you're a mom of 2. You're a wife to Sam, who's a firefighter. So that's crazy shifts, as we all know. How many years have you guys been married?
We have been married for 6.5 years now.
6.5 years. And I know you're an outspoken Christian, and you like to sing at your church too. High fives.
Yeah.
Hello,
high five.
Worship team.
You sang today, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You're also a momtrepreneur like me. You started your own business how long ago?
November of 2016.
Okay, yes. November of 2016. And then your son also was diagnosed with autism when?
February of 2017.
Okay. So you had a lot happen really fast.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I started selling Synogen's products because we just needed extra money. I wanted to help. I wanted to make a couple $100, buy some groceries, pay a bill, get my kids Christmas presents. It was November. And I never really thought of it as something I was doing for myself. Totally. But that's definitely what it's become. So I started in November, no intentions of building a team or going anywhere really with it. And then it kind of started to take on a life of its own. And throughout all of that, I had wondered for a while. My son's name is Jack. He's 4.5. And I had wondered probably when he was about 18 months, I started to wonder if something wasn't quite right. All the people in my life who knew him kind of were like, oh, Allie, you're just being paranoid. He's fine. He's a little boy. They develop slower. So I kind of just tucked it in the back of my mind, but it was this constant anxious thing. And so actually a mama that I know posted on Facebook about how she was going through the journey of getting her son diagnosed. And that is what gave me the courage to reach out to her and ask her some questions. And that's what started our journey and getting Jack the support that he needs. So it took me a while to be ready to talk about it. Not because not because I was ashamed, but because when Jack gets older, I don't ever want him to be like, I wish you hadn't have said so much. But I know how important it is to help raise awareness and help other people who might feel like they're going through the similar, struggle that we did. So all that was going on while I was trying to run a business. Hi. She's so cute. And Sam and I also started to have some marriage problems during that period as well. So I know that the struggle of trying to figure out if your son has special needs adds to problems in, any relationship that are pre-existing. But it got pretty bad. So a lot of people don't know this, not because, again, I'm ashamed, but because I didn't really share. Because I'm a pretty private person, but I'm also an open person. So it's kind of this like walking contradiction for me. But Sam told me we're together now, moral of the story, it's happy ending. But he told me on January 22nd that he wanted a divorce. And on February 2nd, our son was diagnosed autistic. Oh. So it was rough. It was a rough week.
Oh my God.
It's hard to hear that your child has any kind of diagnosis. But when you're sitting next to a man that you're not sure if he's going to be your husband still, and you're not sure how to navigate it as a family, it's real hard. So I kind of got to this point where I was like, okay, either I can let this break me and I become completely an autism mom, which is a part of my life, or I let this be my why, and this is how I figure out what it is that I need to do for my son to get him the help and support that he needs. So that's kind of how everything really catapulted into me trying to make this a really legit thing. So,
and I think a lot of people would have all of that hit them and stop. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it happen before where people want a business. They want to be able to work and be home with their kids, and life happens and things get really hard. And instead of digging in, it's easy to let life take over. So I find it interesting.
Absolutely.
I find it interesting and just really commendable of you that instead of letting life get in the way, you totally dug in.
Well, it was, and Sam would have been there to support his son for sure. Like, it wasn't a matter of him like abandoning our family, right, but it was right, like, okay, if I'm going to be on my own, what can I do to help my kids and myself have a full and rich life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the trigger for what got me going for sure.
And there's an aspect there that I can relate to because when Peter and I were separated as well with his last relapse, and I was totally done, I was like, I am effing building my business, because if this doesn't like work out, I'm not making my kids sacrifice type thing. So
exactly, like you totally need to be able to support yourself.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And we talked about that a little bit on our last Live for 5 about how I didn't want to be with him because I needed to. I wanted to be with him because I wanted to. Yep. So yeah, I really commend you for that. So when, first of all, backing it up a little bit, were you introduced to your business? And how did you get into that?
November of 2016, I signed up. My girlfriend, Vanessa Cruz, who I went to college with, started selling this lipstick. She was pregnant with her third baby, and she's a professional photographer and just wanted some income. And I was very anti-MLM before that. Probably more so than anybody you'll ever meet in your life. Like
that too.
I couldn't stand multi-level marketing. I couldn't stand feeling like I had friends who weren't my friends, like that didn't actually care about me. And then, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I always tell people, if you can't stop thinking about something, there's probably a reason. So I went for it, and man, it's like God just dropped it in my lap before I knew I needed it, because that's how we pay for Jack's therapy, is my commissions checks that I'm able to get through Synergens and my sales. So it's just a funny, like, sometimes you don't want to take a risk and you don't realize that it's actually not a risk, it's a blessing, and it's what you need. And then it just honestly, it just kind of took on a life of its own. And then I started to really hustle, and now it's, I'm in it for life. It's my career.
I love it. Okay, so as someone who also had sworn off MLMs, and now we're both in one,
right?
how did you, when you went into it, how did you make it different than other experiences you had had that made you say, I don't want to do that? Because obviously, just because some people run a business a certain way doesn't mean everybody has to, right? And so there are different ways to doing it. So I'm curious as to, when you signed up, did you tell your coach, like, I'm not doing it a certain way? Or were they just like, no, we're training you totally different anyways? Like, how did that work? And what changed your mind?
I just I realized really fast, really fast, that I can't compare myself to other people. There were women that I knew who were, absolute like celebrities in the company because they were so successful. And for a while I wondered, what do I need to do to be like them? And a girlfriend of mine from college, actually, I hadn't seen her in years. We met up for coffee and she bought like 9 tubes of lipstick from me. And I was like, holy crap, like that's a lot of makeup. And she said to me that when I started my Facebook group with my sales and everything, that she didn't leave it because she was like, well, I knew, I'm like, it's Allie. Like, she's not going to shove it down my throat, right? And then she said, you don't try to be, salesy. She's like, you're just yourself. And I want to support that. And it was like this moment of clarity for me where it was like, okay, I can do this and still be me and talk about products that I love that are, great for you. And they make me feel more confident and they fit into my life because, it's long wear makeup. You put it on, you don't have to worry about it. Right. But I was able to just be myself. And I embraced the fact that I'm this awkward, like clumsy, hot mess of a mom. And it worked for me because I could just be me. And it helped me realize that I am more than Jack and Skylar's mom. And I am more than Sam's wife. And I am more than a mom of 2 toddlers. Like, I am still Allie. I just have more levels to my life now. So it really did help me figure out who I am again. And it helped me figure out that I shouldn't feel bad for taking time for myself or taking care of myself. It really helped me realize that I was neglecting myself. And it's not something I ever thought would have ever happened, running a business, but that's what it became for me. So
totally. I was going to ask you something else and now I can't even remember. Oh, did you have to get over like that caring about what other people think in some ways? Like knowing, yes. Like knowing, okay, even if I do this in a different way, and even if I am totally me, and even if I am totally genuine, some people are still going to think ill.
Yep.
Like some people are still going to be like, oh, well, she just wants this.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember I was invited to a waiting room in like this health clinic with these nurses who wanted to check out some samples. And so they wanted to check them out. They invited me. And I remember one of the patients came out and I was just sitting there. Like, I didn't say a word to him. And he heard what we were talking about. And he looked at me and he goes, the problem with people like you? And I was like, okay. And he goes, you can't ever just have friends. He's like, everyone you see is just a walking dollar sign. And I sat there and I looked at him and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know you, but that's not true at all. And that's not how I run my business. And he goes, oh, well, then you must not be very successful. And I was like, well, my husband and I just got back from a free trip from Costa Rica. So I'm like, that I earned through the company. So I would say that I'm successful while still not being a total jerk. And he left, but it was like, it reminded me that so many people like who don't understand, they're ignorant and they can think badly. But really all that it is we're just human beings trying to make a living for ourselves and for our families. And before, that conversation would have gutted me. But for me, I was just like, whatever, like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And you are just a bitter man.
Totally.
So, yeah, I mean, it definitely has installed more a sense of confidence and self-worth of knowing, like, no, I'm running my business with integrity and true to who I am as a human being. So, yes, definitely.
You said before that would have gutted you, but now it didn't. What got you to that point, or what changed you?
I just really do think that at some point you have to take a step back and just be like, you know what? Like, this is me. I'm living my life. I'm doing something I'm really proud of. I run my business in a way that I'm very proud of. I have an incredible team that I'm very proud of. And you just have to let people who are nasty just not get to you. And sometimes that's easier said than done, for sure. Like, I was irritated, but I didn't lose sleep over it.
No.
You know, like, who are you and what do you know about my life? You know nothing.
I like to ask, like, are they paying my bills or living my life? I don't need, like, I don't
If
need
the
to care
answer is no.
Yeah, then why do we care about their cool. So what's one thing you would say to a mom of 2 or more kids who already feels so busy and like life is taking over, but wants to feel like herself again, maybe considering starting a business, because it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a trend, but it is something that a lot of moms are doing now, starting a home-based business. But I think a lot of them are scared to also jump in because they don't want to have tons of time taken away from kids or things like that. Like, or maybe they feel they're too stretched thin. What would you say, speaking into that? What's one thing?
You know, it's probably the same thing that I, said earlier, that if you keep thinking about something and you can't stop thinking about it, there's probably a reason. I am a very busy mom. I have a husband who's gone every week, who goes to the firehouse. I have a little boy who is brilliant and special and is in, therapy, in-home therapy, where there's people in my home, 20 to 25 hours a week. I've got a little 2-year-old that is crazy. She's awesome, but she's into everything. And there are some days where I feel like a chicken with its head cut off. Like, there are, absolutely. But I also am able to sit down at the computer and give myself like 30 minutes straight of just office time, where I just work on my business, or I follow up with customers, or I check in with my team members. And if I can't hire a babysitter that day, because hiring a babysitter is kind of complicated with Jack's diagnosis, then I do it when they're laying down for nap and quiet time. You make time for what's important. And if you're a mom who is busy and feels lost in momland and like you're drowning, this could be what you need. And that's what I didn't realize when I started doing this. It was like a lifeboat for me. It was like, okay, like, again, I am mom, I'm a wife, and a lot of things, but I'm also a CEO of my own business. And that's not something I ever thought I would be capable of being. So it really was the push that I needed. And it doesn't feel stressful to me. Like, there are days where I can't follow up like I would like to, but that just means I start again tomorrow.
Totally. And I totally agree with that. I was drowning and lost in momland with 2 kids too. And taking on more seems backwards, but you're not taking on more for the kids. You're taking on more, that's something you're going to be doing. And it's your kids, but it's yours. And it's not separate from the kids and your spouse and everything else. And it really helps you, find your footing, find yourself again. You recently dove back into your fitness again.
I did.
How has that been?
I did.
How has that contributed to you recovering yourself at all too?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I am a happier human being when I am exercising and taking a half an hour a day for myself. I've been doing 21 Day Fix Extreme. I had to take a break for like a week because of doctor's orders, and I have been missing it. So I get to start again tomorrow. I'm really excited. But just that half an hour a day, it's half an hour. That's nothing. I don't have to leave my house. I usually work out when my kids are awake, and I get interrupted sometimes, but afterwards I feel great. My kids see me exercising. They see me investing in my health. And I just, like, my mood will go up considerably when I actually take time to work out. And I don't love the process of working out, but I love how I feel afterwards.
100%.
So, yep. So, and it is. I mean, it's easy for me because Sam, my husband, when he's home, he goes to the gym and he's gone for like, 2.5 hours. And I'm like, have fun. I'll be here knocking out my half an hour workout. And you get results from it. So I love it. I really do. It's the best thing I've done for myself in a long time, is practicing true self-care, which is not sitting in a bubble bath eating cake all the time. Sometimes it's working out.
100%.
I mean, sometimes you do need to sit in a bubble bath and eat cake, but
I love it. If there's, okay, one other thing you could speak to in order to take a stigma away, because you have several things in your life that have stigmas attached, and I can relate to some of this. Obviously, there's a stigma around therapy, there's a stigma around autism, there's a stigma around MLMs. Like, if there was one thing that you wanted to speak to kind of shed light on, what would that be? Or what would you say?
You know, I gotta say, I probably gotta go with autism here, because I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand. I think that the best way, because one of the questions I get asked the most when people learn that my son's autistic is either how severe it is or if he's verbal. They ask if he speaks. And so usually when people ask me that question, I know that it's their polite way of asking me, like, is this like life altering? Like, what is it? So Jack is, he's brilliant. He's one of the smartest kids you'll ever meet. He does speak. He's behind in vocabulary. But the thing that I've learned through this is that autism is not, it's not a death sentence. It's definitely got struggles, absolutely has struggles, but we take, you know, the good things and we celebrate them so much more than I feel like parents who don't have a diagnosis do. Jack has, you know, good days and bad days like any kid. But like the things that I guess I want to speak to the moms too who have a child that either is diagnosed or they wonder.
Yeah.
You know, there are things that I can't do that moms can do. Like I couldn't take my kids to Disneyland right now. I couldn't even take my kids on an airplane right now because Jack couldn't handle that, like sensory and all of that. But you know, the things, the small victories are huge victories in this house. And not a lot of parents get to experience that. And so there are bittersweet things to it. There are days where I want to, you know, lay in bed and put my head, you know, underneath the covers and feel sorry for myself. But then there are days where I'm like, my kid can walk, my kid can run, my kid can speak, my kid doesn't have cancer. So, you know, we're all different. We all have our own story. And I think the main thing is if you have a child that you're worried about at all, don't be afraid. If anything, it's more validating to get answers, because as a mom or dad, if you're watching this, if you feel in your gut, like maybe my kid needs some extra support, getting that diagnosis could be the thing that makes your life easier. And it might not feel like that, but if you have an undiagnosed kid, it's harder. I promise. It's so much harder that way. Totally. So that probably would be what I'd speak to. And also, if you're a special needs mom, you can have a life. I promise. So.
And thank God for MLMs, where you can still be home and have a life for yourself, right?
Oh yeah, no, this is the only job I could do right now. It really is. So it's a godsend. It really is.
Totally. And I can relate even to what you're saying about a diagnosis. I know it's totally different, but when we finally got a diagnosis, even for my husband with like his stuff, I was like, okay, I actually liked hearing that because it meant now we can take the right steps to get the right help. So I can relate to that, even though it's different. And I love
absolutely. And it gives you a game plan. You don't feel so out of control anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I love that you have a platform to talk about it and that you are so open and helping other people who maybe have questions about their own kids or are feeling hopeless or down like that. So why don't you give us a few stats of your business? Because I know that you're doing awesome and you need a little credit here.
Oh, that's...
You told me you're in the 100%.
Yeah, my team is really incredible. We did 2 million in sales last year, which is crazy. But yeah, when you reach a certain rank in the company, you're like the top 10% of the company. And then once you reach the rank that I'm at, that I'm blessed to be at, you're top 1% of the entire company. So it's been a pretty wild ride. And that's what I mean is it's like, I almost didn't even do this because I was worried about being that annoying salesy person. And I can't, like, even my husband the other day, I was like, can you imagine if I would have like doubted myself? And Sam even doubted it. He like, it wasn't that he doubted me, it's that he doubted the company. And he's like, people don't really make money and you lose money. And now we're like, can you imagine if I hadn't have just been like, no, I need to try this. Like, it's just been such a blessing. It really is amazing.
And I think that right there is the risk of not saying yes to something. The risk, everyone thinks, you know, what if I fail? Like, what's the biggest risk is I'll fail. No, it's not.
Yep.
The biggest risk is you might miss out on something completely life-changing. That's
Yep.
the biggest risk. Like, and
yep.
I think that way all the time. So I love that.
Oh, no, absolutely. And it's a great way of putting it. Like, I remember I was like, well, the biggest risk I have is if this doesn't work, then I just have some good skincare and makeup that I can keep for myself afterwards. And now I'm just like, I was so dumb. Like, like, that was not the biggest risk at all. You know what I mean? And so it's pretty wild when you look back, you know, hindsight's 2020, right? So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for hopping on here. Speaking of your awesome stuff, I'm giving away a bottle of tinted moisturizer that I got. Well, I'll be buying another one. But I got mine from Allie. So if you were on your
Isn't it awesome?
Oh, I love it. It's been my summer go-to. I'm wearing it right now. Can't you tell?
It looks so good on you too.
I love it. So if you were watching this live with us, comment below one of your favorite takeaways. And I'll be doing a raffle and giving this away tomorrow. So thank you, Allie, for getting on here. Everybody, you should go talk to her and get something from her. Good skincare, lipstick, all of that. And
aww. I'll post my group in the comments in case anybody wants to hop in there.
Sure. And if moms want to reach out and ask you questions, maybe even about autism or things like that, I'm sure you're willing. So
absolutely.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks, Joy.
Thank you, Allie.
Okay. Have a good night. Bye.